Hey everybody, Shabbat Shalom. I just wanted to get this out while it's fresh in my mind. So, the bottom line is, when you are creating a space in your home that is an environment of life, and you are bringing the Word of God in your environment, you're reading the Bible, you are creating an environment that is supportive of, welcoming God and welcoming godly people into that environment. There is a spirit of health. There is a spirit of, you know, um, creation that is in this space because God lives in this space. Okay. Now, in contrast, okay, when you're dealing with someone who is operating out of death and you're dealing with someone who's operating out of discreation, meaning they can't create, and whatever they are creating, it's disorderly and chaotic. It's broken creation. Um, and the person, when you look at them and you look at their face, their face is withdrawn, and like the life force within that person is dwindling because the person is active in active addiction. The person is active in whatever sins or um, you know evil and wickedness that they're exposing themselves and stuck within. They are in that wilderness where their body is physically looking weak and depleted, like there's no life force in them, and they're like their eyes are sallow, and they don't have much life in their face or in their body. Okay. And what was interesting was I, I was I found this word, and it was in a word study, and it didn't make sense to me, and now it's making sense now that I understand. So the word is Azazel, okay? And the reference is in that Bible verse, and I'm sorry if I'm not getting the exact verse, but it's the story of on the Day of Atonement, where the priest, there would be two pure goats that were without blemish or whatever, and a lot would be cast on the Day of Atonement, and one goat would then be offered up as a blessing, as a sacrifice, and the other goat, in many versions that I've read before, it would be labeled as scapegoat. Okay. But the real Hebrew name is Azazel. And what that means is that goat is going to be labeled Azazel, which means Satan or of death. So it's very interesting that certain versions don't express and explain this thoroughly. So the key is the goat that was deemed the goat for the atonement, that particular goat was put on the altar for the sacrifice, and that was shared in a meal or what have you. Okay. But the scapegoat, the Azazel, the priest would put his hands on that goat, which was demonstrating the transference of all the sins of the people in God's camp. Okay. And so then all the sin would be transferred from the priest's hands onto that one goat. And then the goat is cast out. The goat is told, is like put out to the wilderness, like death is going to have the goat. That there's no life on the goat, and obviously nobody wants the sins of their entire camp to stay in the camp. They want the sin to go outside of the camp. And so the act of that goat leaving the camp is, and then you think about, desert and wilderness time, and it's like, if anybody says like, hey, where do you want to go on vacation? I mean, most people are going to say, oh, I want to go to the beach, or I want to go to the mountains. And, I want to, most people are not like, hey, let me go to the desert where there's no water, where there's no life. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's where this idea of that it was actually in Hebrew, Azazel really has, you know, the negative connotation of death. Okay. So I just thought that would help if you can see how that can be applied to your life. I just wanted to get that out now so I don't forget it. So hope you have a good night. Shabbat shalom.